tonight we are going to make roasted chicken with roasted Brussels sprouts. And what we're going to do, what I'm going to show you, is that we are going to spatchcock, which I think is one of the funniest words in cooking, chicken. Pretty much just means we're going to butterfly the chicken. So for those of you who have never done it before, never seen it before, it's fairly easy. So let me show you. First, let me just put my gloves on. Now you're going to need a couple of things. Obviously, you're going to need a chicken. So make sure, I would probably say this is around 5 pounds, but you can really do it any size that you want. The good thing about this is that by butterflying it or spatchcocking it, it makes the cooking time that much shorter, and it makes the flavors that much better. So you'll need a really sharp knife. I have this ridiculous Indiana Jones knife. Here's a second knife I use. This is really for vegetables and things like that, but it's really good for trying to break through bone if necessary. Don't use your best knife, so if you have really expensive chef knives, which I do, I won't use on this because you can really damage them with bones. So the first thing we're going to do, so you can see both sides of the chicken, we're going to flip this over. So right here, this is the part that we're going to be cutting out. So what you're going to do, you can do it either direction. Right where the neck was, or still is, you're going to come down and you're just going to follow this all the way down. And then you're going to do it on the opposite side.
What did it mean? What did it mean?
Now this just shows you the line on where you're going. Now what you're going to want to do, as you can hear it, you want to make sure that you are cutting through the bone, which is not always the easiest. This is why it's really important you have a very sharp knife, and you want to be extremely careful because you can cut yourself not only with the knife, obviously, but the bones in here are very sharp. A little easier. A lot of extra skin. Alright, so you can see there's a lot of extra skin, so that made it a little bit tougher, but you can see all the bones. So now this is what it should look like. Now we're gonna clean this up a little. But the next thing to do before we go ahead and clean it up, you want to flip it back over. And then what you're going to do is take your hand, you're just going to push on this so you hear it crack. Or you feel it. There you go. Now what that did is that just broke the bone right here. So you can see now it's flat. And this is exactly how we want it, because when we're cooking it, the entire chicken is going to be flat, so it's going to cook evenly, and it's going to take way less time. And this is what it looks like opened up. So now we can clean up the inside. You can see bones, so we may want to come in here. Now this is really optional. I think it's just easier to clean it up as best as you can, just because it makes it better for once you're ready to serve it. And then also when you're seasoning it, right when you're done with this part, you don't gotta worry about putting it under here. So also while we're doing this, make sure, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning, is to preheat your oven to 425 degrees. So do it before you start it, so once you're done with this, it'll be ready to go, and after you're done seasoning and everything, you just pop it in the oven. Now the great thing is that this literally will probably only take 45 minutes to cook through and through, just because you did this. So the less bones, it's pretty much just all meat, so it cooks nice and evenly, and it will be juicier, because I know a lot of people worry about the chicken being extremely dry. So that is it. I took as much out as we needed. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take these gloves off, wash my hands real quick, and then we're going to move on to the next step. All right, so after cleaning my hands and cleaning up a little bit of the mess, getting rid of all the extra stuff that you need to throw out, now I started already drying this off, so pretty much take a paper towel, I would say paper towel instead of towels, just to make it easier, and try to dry the chicken off, because you're gonna have, you know, excess moisture. Main reason for it is because we're gonna add our seasoning, and we want it to be dry so it can really soak it in better, but you know, it doesn't have to be bone dry. So what I did is I put together a quick, really easy seasoning. There's a few things that most people probably have. It's garlic, onion powder, cumin, pepper, ground pepper of course, a little bit of ground ginger, and pink sea salt, which you can use regular sea salt. I think the flavor is just a little bit different, but I think you'll be happy with either or. I will post the amount of each that I added. If it makes it easier, it's really to your taste and your liking, so you can mix it however you like or follow what I put and then add whatever you think might be missing. But I wanted to keep this as simple as possible because it's really going to be flavorful even with such a simple mix. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some and we're going to spread it all over. We're going to be generous so we can get flavor all over the chicken. Is I have the roasting pan. I went ahead and sprayed it already. You can use oil. This time I used the olive spray. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place the chicken down. Now when you put it in here, you're going to want it pretty much flat so it can cook nice and evenly. Now what we'll also do is that we're going to take a little bit of olive oil. And then we are just going to rub it in. Don't be scared. If you need to, you can wear gloves. I'm not wearing gloves because, I mean, I've washed my hands and I'm prepping it for the family. Now, if I was doing it for a party or another group, of course, for sanitary reasons, I would have gloves on during this whole thing. All right. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also take the same thing. I'm going to spread it on the outside. Okay. Now I'm gonna wash my hands again. I gotta do one more thing. All right, so I cleaned up a little bit, washed my hands again for like the 100th time, which you should make sure to do, especially touching chicken. Now, what I did prior to all this is that when I mentioned we're gonna be doing Brussels sprouts, I got a pound of Brussels sprouts, made sure to wash them good, cut the ends off, and halve them, as you can see. Now, what I also did to save a little bit of time is I added olive oil, garlic, and salt and pepper, and then I mixed it up just to make it really simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in the pan with the chicken. Obviously this may take a little while. Okay, so I went ahead and fast forward this so you didn't wait for me to add every single one. Now, when you add it, you don't have to do it this way because I overcrowded it because this chicken is taking up so much space. It's better to leave space in between. These are really small Brussels sprouts. They're still going to cook really well, but I want as many as I can because I love Brussels sprouts and the family eats them. So we're going to put this in the oven. Now beforehand, I am going to pour a tiny bit of balsamic vinegar only on the Brussels sprouts. Now you don't want to go too crazy because some of it may get onto the chicken, which again, still not terrible because our seasoned base is simple. So it actually may make it even better if you like that flavor. But it's also to give the Brussels sprouts a little bit of extra taste. So now we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven. You know, once the oven is ready at 425 degrees. All right, so once you have it in, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna set a timer for 45 minutes. And actually, you know what? Let's put it for 40 minutes. And then we're gonna check on it at 30 minutes just to make sure it's looking okay. Then once time is done, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check the temperature of it. Once the timer does go off, so we'll use the meat thermometer. And once we meet the 160 degrees that we need internally, then we'll be done. And if we need more time, we'll add it. But this should only take around 40, 50 minutes. Alright, so this is pretty much how it should look. You can see our Brussels sprouts look nice and roasted. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our thermometer so we can check. Best bet is to put it into the breast to see where we're at. Okay. Then we are going to check also the leg.
Said I could be in the next video. It's not fair.
Oops. We got changed to Celsius. good. We are 160, which is exactly where we want to be. So perfect. So now we're gonna let it rest a good 10 minutes. And then after that, we will cut it up and enjoy it. Alright. Now I'm just cutting it up. Just make it easier when it's time for everybody to sit down and eat. As you can see, how juicy this looks. And it's so easy to do. And it was done in pretty much 50 minutes. It probably could have been a little shorter, but we always want to make sure, just because it's chicken, so we want to make sure that we get to 160 degrees inside. Now I separated the legs. Sometimes I like to have it, but you can cut these up as well, get to the dark meat. A lot of this is breast meat. So please try it. Comment, let me know how it worked for you. If you have any suggestions or if anything worked for you that you did differently, I'm always open for something new, but it's definitely a delicious meal to have. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next video.